We're in Prague in the Czech Republic, a place that's on many people's bucket lists. Throw away your list and come to Prague now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. The architecture is fascinating. The history is bloody. The beer flows. And, you'll find out all sorts of stuff you did not expect about the Czech Republic.
Such as the many links between the Philippines and the Czech Republic. Did you know, Jessica, that there are Santo Niños in Prague and statues of Jose Rizal all over the Czech Republic?
Yeah, I want to see that.
Those are the things we're going to see on this trip to the Czech Republic.
I'm Jessica Zafra. I'm a writer and I travel for material.
I'm Pepe Diokno. I'm a filmmaker and I travel for inspiration. We're traveling around the world
to find the Filipino connections.
This is the Flip Trip. We flew from Manila to Prague through the newly opened route of Qatar Airways.
Have you been to Prague before?
Yes, 15 years ago.
What was it like 15 years ago?
Already crammed with tourists. I have a friend who was telling me that in 1989, when the wall fell, everyone in Germany went to Prague for the weekend because you could have an entire weekend for €5.
So that's the number one expectation. It's cheap.
Well, it is beautiful. It's like, walking into a fairy tale.
What are you looking forward to on this trip?
I like to prepare for a trip by reading lots of authors from that particular place. But this time I only did minimal research because Kafka is from Prague. And so if you're a lit major, you're kind of force-fed Kafka. Beer.
Oh yeah, beer?
Yes, a blinding variety of beers.
Every
to go
day.
with your sausage. Yes, and then, and they have so much beer, they put up beer spas and beer cosmetics. And I'm looking forward to the food.
The Middle East carrier was awarded 2017 Airline of the Year by Skytrax, and it shows. Everything on this flight was a joy, from the wide selection of the in-flight entertainment to the delicious catering and the complimentary onboard Wi-Fi.
The Czech Republic is composed of the regions of Bohemia, Moravia, and Silesia. Our Czech trek begins in its capital, Prague, a city with a population of 1.3 million. In this episode, we navigate her complicated history. We find her connection to the Philippines. We get drunk on the beauty of Prague. And later, we just get drunk.
Thank you.
That's up next on the Flip Trip. Prague sits astride the Vltava, the longest river in the Czech Republic. That's where we started our trip with the most unusual guide.
You have the best. You have the best laugh. On that note, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
So the boat that we are on right now, you designed.
Yes, every ships which I make sightseeing cruises around Charles Bridge through Prague-Venice Canal, I design, but I made just copies of ships from end of 19th centuries.
Based on classic designs.
Yes.
Well, so where are we right now?
In this place here stood our oldest passenger ship in Prague, Nepomuk. And Nepomuk is the first Baroque statue on Gothic bridge. People touch of statue because this is St. John of Nepomuk symbol. And from this place, King Wenzel IV falls to the water St. John of Nepomuk. And we every year, 15th of May, celebrate this man with a big water show, like biggest, I think, in the Europe.
Can you point to us the different parts of the city?
different
'Cause
parts of the city.
We don't know where everything is.
Where is the old town?
Where's
Where
Old
is
Town?
Lesser Town?
Left is the left coast, is like down to the river. It's Lesser Town.
Lesser Town.
But when you translate Czech term, Lesser Town, it's like small site because every time more than Old Town. Lesser Town is more Gothic, more Baroque, more clean of medieval time. Yes, and right is Old Town.
Why is Charles Bridge so famous?
When they started of building, end of 14th century, it was the huge and the biggest bridge in Europe. King Charles IV made the diameters and parameters of water lines. One secret information is 700 years back, Meister Otto, he was builder of Charles Bridge, didn't have experience with building of bridges.
Okay.
And because Charles Bridge stay to this time, because he made construction which is more static, better than is necessary.
We got to do something most people aren't allowed to do. Dock on the lock in the middle of the river. From here we could enjoy panoramic views of the city, as long as we didn't fall into the rushing river.
What makes you fall in love with Prague over and over again?
Because every moment in Prague is new. The river give Prague dynamic and bring new time, new future. And sure, we live in a Gothic city, Gothic and Baroque town, but everything, it's new every day.
Apparently, Mr. Bergman was so amused by his Filipino visitors, he invited us to his batcave. There he plied us with presents, then he toasted our health with peach schnapps and slivovitz. Despite the language barrier, we could see his pride in his city.
3 bottles later, we walked to the National Marionette Theater to catch a show. The theater stages puppetry performances of classic opera. In this case, Don Giovanni. Backstage, it was quieter than a regular opera, but the stagecraft involved is just as complicated.
Watching Mozart's opera performed by marionettes is a quintessential Prague experience. But we were just a little too intoxicated to tell. I'm guessing we can never show our faces in this theater again.
We cure our hangover at one of Prague's oldest hangouts. That's up next on the Flip Trip.
Slivovitz is genius because despite having finished 3 bottles, we could still stand up the next morning. However, we were famished, so we had a big breakfast at the Cafe Imperial. The reason we're having this nutritious breakfast is to make up for the night we had.
Yeah, last night we had a little bit too much to drink.
And so today we're in Old Town, where we'll see more sites of bloody events, but also, a lot of fantastic architecture.
But if you could write about anything while in Czech Republic, what would you write about?
Well, I would write about my adventures while I lived here.
It just so happens that the Cafe Imperial is part of the Imperial Hotel, a stunning example of Art Deco, Art Nouveau, and Cubist architecture.
As we entered the hotel, which is one of the oldest in the city, we were greeted by its head of sales and marketing.
Welcome to the Imperial, yeah?
This is a beautiful hotel.
Thank you. Actually, it is one of the oldest hotels in Prague. It was opened in 1914, so before the First World War.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have more than 100 years of history, of tradition.
And this building looks really beautiful.
Thank you.
Why is this so special?
Well, actually, at the time when the hotel was built, there were three most significant architectural styles. The first was Art Deco, the second Art Nouveau, and Cubism. And you can find all three here on one place.
So who was the architect of this place?
Well, the architect was Jaroslav Benedict, one of the most famous architects at that time.
And you have always preserved the hotel?
Well, actually, during the communist era, the government didn't find enough money to make a renovation, so the building was protected. It was not destroyed like many other buildings in Prague, and the renovation here was between 2005 and 2007. And the main purpose was to keep all original parts and the decoration of the hotel.
And I would have thought that something this beautiful would have been the location of many films.
Yes.
I guess lots of Hollywood stars over the years.
Yeah, also, but to be honest, for us, it's every as important.
If this hotel accepts cats, then this is my future home.
After getting our fix of architecture, we got our fix of art at the Alphonse Mucha Museum. Mucha was a painter and designer who was one of the pillars of the Art Nouveau. He is best known for his gorgeous posters for theater productions and, yes, advertisements. To learn more about Mucha, we spoke to an expert.
It's a small museum, private museum, which was founded 1989, and it is a Mucha Foundation, and president is Mr. John Mucha.
Could you show us your favorite piece?
I prefer first section, and first section they are panneaux décoratifs. For me, the most beautiful poster, it is this one. Because, you know, there are 4 parts of day, morning, midday, evening, and a sleeping beauty, it's a night. But we have other, you know, flowers, arts. Mucha, he liked nature, but his very famous poster, it is poster Mucha created for Sarah Bernhardt. He had only 1 week, and in a week he created this poster, and practically in the year 1895 he became a very famous artist in Paris. And it is also, maybe said it is the most popular poster Mucha created for Sarah Bernhardt, because it is the first one. There is a series of other posters, and last one, it is Hamlet, because Hamlet by Shakespeare, it is last poster Mucha created for Sarah. In the beginning, it was Sarah, she helped him very much. But nowadays, the name of Sarah Bernhardt is famous thanks to posters Mucha created for her.
What is so special about Mr. Mucha's work?
He was very popular because everybody could understand his art. It was optimistic, and especially, very special thing, it was cheap, because it was printed in many pieces. It is color lithography.
What was his philosophy about people buying his art?
You know, it is advertisement. It is practically beginning of the advertisement. Visit our theater. Come and visit our theater. And Mucha, he created not only posters for Sarah Bernhardt, but it was advertisement. For example, chocolates, bonbons, wine, champagne, bicycles, visit Monte Carlo.
So he believed that there is art in advertising.
Yeah. Practically, beginning this poster, it was a revolutionary poster because it is very unusual shape. People, they were stealing it in the streets during the nights because everybody wanted. They were collectors.
I would be one of those people.
Yeah. Yes.
So now I don't feel so bad about doing advertising myself.
So he made art more accessible to regular people and not just to the super rich.
A walk through Old Town Square and some delightful local crafts. That's up next on the Flip Trip.
town was settled in the Middle Ages and set apart by a moat and a wall. For close to a millennium, it's been the site of a market. Some of the most famous landmarks of the city are located within this small area.
At the very center of all this activity is Old Town Square. The beauty of Old Town Square belies its history as a site of grisly tortures and mass executions. Knowing a bit of its past gives the place an air of melancholy.
In a crowd of tourists from all over the world, especially Asia, we spotted a street performer who was part escape artist and part stand-up comic.
Old Town has always been the place to shop. Its cobbled streets are lined with stores selling tourist souvenirs and local products, including Manufactura, a place that drew us in because of its unique proposition, beer cosmetics.
Now, humans have been drinking beer since civilization began. I guess that in Prague we see the next stage in beer evolution, hair and skincare products.
How did the idea come about of putting beer
How
in
long have they
cosmetics?
used beer?
I think the reason is probably money, because we were quite poor back in the day, so around 16th, 17th century. Women discovered that beer hops and grain extracts have lots of vitamin B, so it's good for hydration, vitality, shine, and it's perfect for dry hair.
Manufactura is also known for cosmetics made from Czech wine, honey, fruits, and vegetables.
After getting ourselves beer shampoo and moisturizer, we walked to another store to get something that's also quintessentially Bohemian, Czech garnets.
Throughout our trip, I kept trying to ask how the word Bohemian came to mean eccentric and artistic, but there was a translation problem.
What I want to know is why Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen is not the national anthem.
In English, when you say Bohemian, it means artistic.
Or eccentric.
Yeah, I am. It's very complication from tourists because Bohemian. What is this Bohemian? Bohemian. It's Czech original name. More years later, Bohemian. It's Czech Republic Bohemian. For this, it's not Bohemian Rhapsody, okay, but it's for this Czech. It's Bohemian.
So does this mean that Bohemians, a lot of Bohemians were artistic and
Artistic. It's
individual pursuits?
funny people, no, everything, but no, it's historic. It's Bohemian in the name from Czech Republic.
Is there anything that the jewelry does to your body?
Something
for
about
hands?
healing.
Yeah, healing.
For everything. Český granát má v sobě sílu, vitalitu, energie, blahodárné účinky, očišťující energie z vás jde. Pokud klientka nosí český granát na sobě, cítí jeho sílu, jeho horkost. Také je to takový energetický kámen. Dokonce se říká, když muž nosí něco z českého granátu, tak má potenci.
As night fell, we walked back to the old town square for the regular spectacle of the apostles and death marking the hour.
In the next episode of the Flip Trip, we cross the Charles Bridge and explore Lesser Town, where we see a series of icons like Franz Kafka, John Lennon, and the biggest icon of them all, the Santo Niño.
Watch more at thefliptrip.com and look for us on Facebook and Instagram.